Incoming message.
If you don't manage time correctly, nobody in the organization is going to manage time correctly. If you don't have a clear vision on what success looks like, nobody in the organization is going to have a clear indication of what success looks like, right?
What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. And that's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we're giving you the inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course, with me, I have a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward, so hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that two-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week with the best goddamn wellness information available.
Yeah.
Brother Jones.
What's the word?
How are you feeling today, my friend? Happy to see you.
Likewise, brother. It's been a fortnight, if you will.
Oh, tell me about it.
It has been a week, and it's been something that has been a triumphant week.
Okay.
I would say that because today, Tone, much like how you started last week's show with a lot of energy for the product that was in the streets.
Yeah.
I, in fact, was in the streets today. It was my first time on the bike.
Okay.
Biking back to the pod.
There we go. Round of applause for Brother Jones back on the bike. He's getting his two-step and tango on the two wheels. I'm very happy to hear it, man. How'd it make you feel?
You will never understand what it's like to push yourself until you were on a bridge over a body of water in New York City. Until you experience that feeling, you don't know what it's like to find that extra when you ain't got it, when it's life or death. That is a different type of feeling. And for the faithful listeners of the show, they'll know that we actually bike to the pod and have been notoriously known for biking to events that most people would never even dare to do.
That's the only way I get around the city.
It's the best way to get around the city. And to be able to return to such a feeling, I can't speak highly enough about what it's like to make decisions, to have a moving meditation, to be able to soak up everything there's around you. I'm going to argue there's no better view of New York City than on two wheels. And
I could agree with that wholeheartedly. And
you just never understand it until you do it. So to be able to push myself with not one but two bridges this week, because we had to go over to Pulaski to then get to the 59th Street Bridge. That means 4 if you're doing bridges, because I still got to get back.
I don't know if that's how that counts.
Or it could be 3, but you get what I'm saying.
I'm letting it rock.
Depending on my route home, so to speak. But
you had to go up the hill.
I had
both
to
ways.
go up the hill and come back down, man. There's only one way to go down. You got to go back up. But yeah, man, that I feel is the sentiment that has captured my week of that slow build. You think about a hill for sure. Even if you're on the whip and you're driving, you know that experience of elevation. And after that elevation, then you have to, go back downhill, right? I got to work on my, what you call it when you slow down a little
deceleration.
bit? I got to work on my deceleration for a little bit because that's a part of the workout too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being able to slow down when you need to is important. So that was like what the week felt like. It was very much a hill. It was uphill, and then it's like, oh, we back down again, and I got to work myself back up.
Man, you done said some shit, Brother Jones. I, too, have been battling some hills, and I say right now I found myself in the midst of a specific type of valley right now, Kyle. I feel like it's been all different types of trouble coming my way, and I feel in the midst of all of this, I still feel oddly calm. I'm trying to make it so that I recognize the pressure from every situation respectfully how it needs to be, and not let either one of these, what would be in previous years, extenuating circumstances, stop me from making the progress that I need to make.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my eye on the prize, and I'm keeping it moving forward. It reminded me of what I heard in that Jay-Z speech that he gave during the Grammys. Did you get a chance to hear about that?
I heard clips of it. I didn't see it live. I heard that it actually wasn't televised. So if you did see it, it lived online. It wasn't something people watched like a Super Bowl or something that's a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, I can see why they might have cut some of the stuff that he said out, because they're not going to give you an award if you're talking about them right to camera. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be a hard...
When I get nervous, I tell the truth.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough part. The thing that stood out to me and the thing that was emblematic of my whole week was a part in his speech where he started talking about keep showing up. No matter what's going on, no matter how it's going, keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up, and eventually you'll make it over that hump. So I saw this. I started reflecting on kind of some of the sentiments that I saw in that. I know we talked about many episodes ago, that art in the absence of light, Black History documentary that they put on HBO.
Yeah.
And man, I feel like I got to keep showing up in the absence of this light to try to get the things to move in the right direction that I really want to, Brother Jones. So I didn't let all the things that knocked me off my course this week keep me out. I still kept all my appointments. One of my favorite appointments this week, I got to shout out to good brother Winston out there, friend of the show. He's been on here multiple different times. The good brother Winston started his new series with Wolf University called Office Hours. Now, his first episode of Office Hours, he featured yours truly. He wants to do with that series to be able to educate college students before they get into the whole academia process. He wants to give them the information that you should have before you even start making these commitments. I feel like if there's anybody who could tell you how not to mess up in school, it's a guy like me who's messed up catastrophically in school. So on the basis of that, Kyle, first question that he wanted to come out with was, what's some information that you would have given yourself at 16, 17, whenever you're just starting that college part? What's information that you wish you would have had back then that you know now? And my whole basis of conversation had to go around, hey, whatever you're doing with this student loan situation, you really need to treat this specifically like a business loan. So that means you got to go in before you pick your major, go in and talk to some of these teachers, ask them how much they're making point blank. If they can't answer that question for you, looking down the barrel of the gun and give you a straight answer,
line it up.
There's a reason why they're not giving you a straight answer.
Knock it down.
And in all honesty, really run an interrogation like you're doing a SWOT analysis for why you're going into this career path, right? You should identify what your routes to revenue are going to be before you sign on that dotted line. You should know what to expect to make 4 years from that day, and know if that 4 years, if you're going to make $60,000 for something that cost you $200,000 to get, it's not going to add up. You're going to be in a lot of trouble, right? So I put that all in the context. I gave that to him. He said it was great information. And then I had to take a step back, and I was like, you know what, Brother Jones? I think this whole looking back and giving some information part is going to be something that we need to bring to this show this week. So if you don't mind, I like to put a little remix on that, and I want to bring it into this week's Ask the Professional.
Before we get into that, I do want to put just a few punctuation points in what you did, because you laid out a lot. First that comes to mind is that SWOT analysis. Could you break out what SWOT is for the people that don't know what that is? Because I think that's valuable.
That means you're going to check your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, Kyle.
I mean, that is information I wish I would have had back then. I would only add into that conversation thinking about the investments you make outside of that business decision, right? I was a kid that got fly. I still do. Do you know how much money I spent in polo?
Too damn much.
And Jordans.
Ralph don't care about you.
That I didn't look at as investments. Like, yo, if I keep this pristine, I could sell this for 5 times what it's worth later in life. And I missed out on so much money not realizing my clothes were valuable assets, and not just me wearing them, but me potentially being able to resell them in a market where everybody resells everything. So if you're out there getting fly, think about your clothing as your business attire, and also business in the future if you need it to be.
Feel you on that, my brother. I ain't gonna knock it. I appreciate your hustle, my man. And that wanted to bring all of those pieces together and talk about what we're gonna get into in this Ask the Professionals, right? So based off of that information, Kyle, what is one of the pieces of advice that you would give another trainer just starting their career today? And thinking back to the beginning phases of you starting in this industry, what's something that you wish you had that still doesn't exist currently today?
What's advice that I would give that younger trainer starting out? And I would just say to think about what the best possible outcome could be. Whatever that means to you. Where do you want to take this skill that you have, and what does that end version look like? Is it specific to the point? It has to be specific to the point of, I want this. I want to train movie stars. I want to train athletes. I want to train everyday people. I want to build a community. I want a physical space that's my own. Whatever that vision is, it needs to be clear so that you can have something to aspire to. Because when you don't have that direction, then you just kind of get caught in the matrix of other people's lives, checks and balances, if you will. There's a lot that comes with that side of the business. If we're talking about something that I don't have, that I wish I had more of, I would say traveling is one thing that I've never really taken advantage of when I had that opportunity, especially as far back as when I was in college as a Division I athlete and not visiting my other friends that were Division I athletes at other schools, right? Like, that's something that was very easy that I could, let me pull up to Syracuse real quick and check my homie who on the squad, or let me go down the pit, let me go to Kansas, let me go to Memphis. Like, it was mad people I could have pulled up on that I didn't. If we're talking business-wise, I would love to take my talents on the road. I would love to be on the beach, doing the retreat and things of that nature, but I haven't explored those options yet fully to make that happen.
Yeah, but when you have a skill set that travels with you, it's definitely something that's possible. So I 100% agree with that, man.
For sure.
I'll start to answer from the latter question and then work my way back. Something that I think the industry needs that I wish I had back then was, and still is, a pathway to take an idea all the way through to execution in fitness. So as a trainer, you come across problems all the time with people's movement, with pieces of equipment that don't work the right way, with things that you just have
crowding, overpopulation.
You have to think through and think on your feet, move on the fly, right? And that's a ripe source of inspiration if you had the ability to take some of those insights and put it directly into a product line.
Yeah.
So I would love to see something that honestly is a place for you to take your fitness and your movement-based curiosities and turn them into something that you can actually like play around with. Have like a workshop for fitness kind of stuff. If you wanted to come up with a new movement modality, a new piece of equipment, something like that.
Shake weight part 5.
Where does it go? Where do you come up with this stuff? So I really do wish that there was a place that you could take your idea and have it be transitioned into something, The other part that I would tell somebody very early on in their training path or any aspect of wellness, network as much as you can, but network with intention, right? And I mean, speak to everybody with a level of regard that you have the ability to learn something from them. I don't care what's happening inside the space that you are. They could be the person who is the, custodian all the way up to the person that's paying at the front desk.
The maintain staff.
Shout out to the maintain staff. They held it down for sure.
The maintain staff was maintaining.
But if you can have, where else in the world can you have a cross section of all of what Americana can be at one time? If you could talk to somebody from every rung of the economic ladder, it's going to be inside of one of these wellness spaces, be it if they're working or if they're coming there and paying out of pocket, right? That level of insight is so valuable. Most people don't even understand how to tap into that, that refinery, get the oil out of it. But if you talk to as many people as you can and you think about different things that you can learn, I promise you it'll take you into different directions.
I just wanted to punctuate that for a little bit. Fam, there was a guy that worked front desk at that gym that we don't speak of like that. That, he came later. He didn't really know the trainers like that. But like, I would take the time out to say what up to him, check in on him, things of that nature. Homie went on to be an actor. Fam, I'm talking like in rooms with Denzel and like really out here doing his thing on some acting shit. And it's like, you never know who's going to be in them spaces. Like, homie was front desk and I saw his journey, like, as he started to climb up. People all over can do whatever they set their heart in. So don't disrespect that staff that's a little beneath you, if you will.
Nobody should be thought of as beneath you.
That part, that's what I'm saying. And there's a lot of people that don't move that way because I've seen it.
Yeah, so hopefully somebody's taking some notes out there, Brother Jones, and they learning how to really act with the proper decorum.
That part.
You know what I'm saying, man? And we're going to get up out of that situation. It's time to change gears a little bit, brother. We're going to get into some of this good.
Okay.
We're going to talk about a little bit of this bad.
All right.
And we're going to talk about some things that are questionable on the ugly side. It's time for this week's episode of Ripped from the Headlines. And Kyle, now if I said the company Neuralink to you, what comes up to mind?
the first thing that came to mind was Black Mirror. And I think about the Matrix and all this other technology that's going to lead us down a rabbit hole of death.
So Elon Musk Neuralink came out this week.
I should have known this was ugly.
And they implanted their first chip inside of the human brain.
Cancel that. Let's stop right there. You're not putting a chip in me, fam. Like, I've seen the slow rollout into my brain at that. Like, we're not even talking like the wrist or the forearm. You just said a chip in your brain.
So the chip is supposed to be helping people with paralysis starting to move around. It helps create some of the neural part of Neuralink is helping people with the neurological synapses.
So we're going to hurt people that's already hurt?
They're going to experiment on people that already have some degenerative conditions down. But the technologies are going to start there and continue to go forward. Much like you didn't start with that first episode of Black Mirror being like, hey, they got some real crazy stuff that looks like it could be rolling out.
I stopped watching.
Slow rolling.
I ain't want to know.
It's also going to be an onboard computer that you have inside your mind, right? And that you can do pretty much whatever you can think, you can start to make it happen.
When that green light goes red and you turn into a zombie, what you gonna do?
So their goal is to build a system with at least 2 orders of magnitude. They want to have communication be something that is a lot easier accomplished with that, and also have mobility be something that's a lot easier to accomplish. Their devices are going to link your brain directly to the internet live time. Kyle, you sound like you're already in the camp of not wanting this to happen, but any thoughts on being persuaded by having your Neuralink chip? Can we get a chip inside the organic thug?
Hell to the no. Have you seen Westworld?
Yes.
Right? Westworld as a series. Go watch it. See what happens when you start mixing robots and humans. It doesn't end good. I promise you. If you just want to be an autopilot and live in a pre-written story, then by all means, go get the chip. Let them do whatever they want to do to you. And go get 16 versions of yourself in a replica while you're at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know what life and death is until you get these chips in you. So no, I am not with a chip. I'm sorry. I'm not getting a Tesla. I'm not getting a Cybertruck. I don't want a rocket to Mars. I want a bunker. That's what I want. I need to invest into some underground bunker that I can survive in, because y'all is crazy and I ain't got time for it.
Listen, man, the only thing that was different between the first and the second story is they took the computer from the outside of your head and they put it inside your head, Kyle. You got to really see the part.
Why are we getting closer? We don't need no more. We need more distance, actually, between us and technology. We getting too close when you're now inside of me. Like, I want people to digest that, for lack of a better term, right? Like, they're putting something inside of your body, not that was born and, God-given, or whoever your creator is that created you. You are now altering that design for the purposes of a want. I want this. Like, the same way somebody would fix their nose or, get breast implants. Like, fam, you're getting an implant just because you want to?
I'm going to get a brain BL.
That's crazy. if I can just take the limitless pill, what I need the chip for, right?
No, the chip is, when you start to do deep science and you start to tie in all of the large language learning models, like you get into the AI bag and you got that AI in your brain.
For sure.
You're going to change the game, man. So you sound like you backing out of this.
Absolutely.
All right, speaking of escaping, Kyle.
Okay.
We're getting out of one thing. We're going to escape on into this next one. Gold's Gym did something that was pretty interesting this week. I don't know.
Stay in the know with Gold's.
I got to keep my finger on the pulse, my boy, especially when they do things that are novel. And this week, Gold's Gym in California added an escape room. And they also had a room explicitly for content roll out in one of their new Southern California gyms. Now, the escape room, Kyle.
Okay.
Why would a gym have an escape room in it?
I like the idea. I don't know. This is not ugly for me, right? Only because I've been to a good escape room and it's very...
Not that type of escape room.
Okay. You mean like active shooter escape room? What we
Not
talking?
That type of escape room. Again, hit close to home. It was right there. The escape room, this is really built for the TikTok trend, the shy girl workouts that's been going on, where women are starting to feel too intimidated to be in the traditional spaces where men are apparently doing all types of creepy stuff. So they have built a wing of the gym that is really supposed to be isolated for small amounts of people at one point, and this is going to be their escape room. Escape all aloud in the madness, and you could get a little bit more intimate side of your workout. What's your thoughts on it being called the escape room and the fact that that's a need inside the gym?
What I'm about to say is a little problematic, but I'm going to jump into it anyway.
It's the shy girl trend, Kyle.
When we get into segregation.
Segregation, don't stop it.
When we think about there was a separation of only certain people could be here and certain people could go there, and the standards of these places were different. When you throw that into a gym atmosphere, it's the same thing, right? And I think it creates a level of elitism, if you will. If, hey, I'm too good to work out in a general population of people, and if you're in a space where you're constantly being attack, so to speak, why would you stay there? I would level up my experience somewhere else, and I don't think escape room is something that I would personally be interested in.
I don't think that they made it for you. I think they're trying to get people to escape from the eyes of people that they don't want. Again, I didn't think this was still a need initially, but there's a shocking amount of creepy ass dudes inside the gym.
100%.
I did not realize how high this volume was.
No,
Kyle.
they there. They work out in boots and jeans.
They doing all kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And they have zero inhibition from approaching women and really harassing them at a level that, again, is shocking to me in 2024.
100%.
Some of the stuff that they're trying is just like, have you not seen, heard, or understood how this is going to play out for you?
No, that brother's out to know, and he was in lockdown, and he's free man now.
How did you miss this? How did you miss all this information? But then the other trend of building out a specific space for you to get your content off. What's your thoughts on that?
Previously, I was opposed to such a space. Now, in this world that we live in, fam, if you build it, they're going to come, right? If it's a space that's dedicated to that specific entity of just content creation, I'm here for it.
Yeah, I really do think that clears up some of the craziness that you see on the typical gym floor, because I've seen a lot of people starting to get in their content bag, and it's getting crazier and crazier.
Homie's name is like Drew Walls. That's the dude that like was posting up at Target, and Drake started doing it too. Like it became a thing of, it's like a mini vlog, so to speak. It's like, fam, I'm watching you go from your house to Target to fast food and back. Like, that's craziness.
Listen, man, I've seen people try to pull out full light kits inside the gym. They got the tripods. They got stands. It's like, yo,
if you're going to do it, don't interrupt anybody else's workout. Just get what you need and then put it away.
That's why they need the escape room.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's some efficacy here.
It's segregation, Tone, is what it is.
More will be revealed.
It's the content creators and the gym pop.
Gym pop, yeah. Some of the gym pop stuff, if you spend a lot of time in the gym, you know what you start to see in there. You start to have a lot more questions. Like I saw...
Oh, I've been in the gym lately, and it's getting crazy out here.
I saw somebody in the gym pop space in the gym have a shirt that said, "Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot, hoes all on me." And it had Papa John's logo on it.
Papa
I'm like,
John's? It's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's a hysterical shirt, but that was the first shirt you chose to
Papa's
walk out.
in the house.
Yeah, and if you would have saw the guy wearing it, you would have been like, oh, okay, now I see why women need an escape room, because it's people like this walking around. You know who you are. You a creep for that.
If it would have had Mike Jones' number on there, the 281-330-8004, I would have been like, all right, I see what he did.
I would have also been very shocked, because this man was shockingly white. It's like, I was like, whoa, wait a second.
Much like
what?
homie that was rapping Knife Talk.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Patagonia vest.
He was on gang shit. The only thing that he was on, man. We're going to leave gang shit alone, and I'm going to get back into some news coming in from overseas, Brother Jones. Now, we called it early that Nike is all in on this wellness tip, my friend.
Yes, I saw.
But did you know that Berlin, Istanbul, Johannesburg, Milan, and Paris will be getting Nike's first rollout for their global wellness festivals, Kyle? Again, they taking it overseas, and they making sure that they keep this wellness collective moving and grooving over there. And I'm just really trying to put this out here, that if there was going to be anybody to cover all of these different spaces and talk about what the pulse of wellness is,
stamp me up.
Damn it should be off the strength, Kyle. I don't want you to give me any slander.
No, not at all.
Give me a 20-second pitch right down the line to Nike. See if there's going to be anybody that can get us to be tapped into this immersive experience, my friend.
Let me know when the clock starts.
We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Bam,
just do
you
it.
See oh, man. My shoe just ended up on the camera, Tone. This is...
It's just a swoosh right there.
That's just a swoosh.
Swoosh life.
You
right
never
there.
knew when the swoosh...
Whoa. It's another swoosh.
That was unplanned. We just
do it.
We just happened to do it today, Tone.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Come on, Nike, get us out there, man. You know you need somebody to report on the ground.
You didn't even pay for that. I did.
Get to the root, you know?
Now, that was the first ad. Now, on top of that, I would say that I actually am happy to see the Wellness Collective start to grow within Nike, because it's program that I've seen and been hands-on. I told you, or you've seen me take the photos of that yoga class that they had in the park that was taught by a friend of mine that I used to work in the yoga studio with. And I've been seeing on the outside looking in the trips that they've taken with the New York crew specifically. Yeah. They've gone to like the deserts and had what feels like the rollout of what this wellness festival internationally is going to look like. So I'm here for it, man. It looked good to me.
It looked good to me. And shout out to all the homies that was on the Off the Train podcast that have been involved in a lot of these different rollouts, man. Again, people are going to one day look, Kyle, and see that we are pioneers in finding people who are going to be the movers and shakers inside this industry, my brother. That's going to be it from my side of Rip from the Headlines. What you got on it?
Man, before we go any further, I just want to acknowledge that we, being the movers and shakers, have been pioneers, as you said, because we did it first, brother. Like, you can only pioneer something when you've been out there. The Organic Thug has been the Forest Bathing Negro, and well before a lot of these people were outside getting it done. I remember you struggling a little bit through a 3K, you know what I'm saying? But we was out there together.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was not a runner at all. That was not a part of my game, but I definitely was tapped into those communities, my man.
Now, speaking of running, we're going to get into what my Rip from the Headline segment looks like today. So I got a little bit of that good, I got a little bit of the bad tone, and I also have some ugly.
Okay.
It's not even questionable, straight out ugly.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're going to start with first, Brother Tone. Are you up on a new kid reporter by the name of Jeremiah Fennell?
No, I'm not.
This young man was interviewing athletes, and when I tell you this young brother was starting his career at the age of 7 years old, he looks to be maybe a little couple days past 10 years old, 11, but he's out here interviewing athletes and asking questions that are better than people that have been doing this for years. And when I saw this, it was like, wow, I've never seen a young black boy get that opportunity on TV like that. And I can only imagine what that would do to inspire other people at his age, right? Like,
hell yeah.
That's to be on TV, to talk, to have poise enough to ask a question and to be insightful and to show your knowledge of you being there. It's a beautiful thing. So as somebody who's been podcasting for 5 years, I would love to see young people that look like me having opportunities at such a young age.
Absolutely, man. I gotta salute this brother. It is a pleasure to see what you can accomplish when you do not have any inhibition, when you don't have any fear about what you can't do. Nobody put that in you at an early age. He's going to go far. I can see already, what's the girl's name? Jazzy, who does the music reviews. She goes around and asks a lot of people. She's a little Afro-Latina girl.
Yeah.
Asking questions on the music side. I can see him filling those shoes right on the sports side, man. They're going to be a lot of movers and shakers on the young tip coming back in here, man. I love it. Media is different now, Kyle.
That it is. And speaking of things that are different, Brother Tone, when I say e-commerce exchange zone, what pops into your mind?
An e-commerce exchange zone. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean.
If you had to just take a guess. What
sounds like a website. It doesn't sound like anything more than that.
What if I told you there was a zone that existed for you to exchange goods online with the stranger? So say I saw a Craigslist ad, I wanted to buy a bike or whatever, couldn't decide where I wanted to meet because your house seems a little sketchy. I don't want you to know where I live. We can meet in an e-commerce exchange zone. Now, if you had to pick a place for such a title, such a space to live, where would you think that place would be?
Depending on what you're exchanging, you want to have that be in a public place that is easily visible by everybody because you might get jammed up. Or you might get...
What if I were to tell you that this space exists right outside a police precinct? It is a 24-hour surveillance place where you can go and meet right outside of a police station to exchange your e-commerce.
Yeah, that lets me know further that my first part of the story where I was telling you, you're going to get robbed if you do a lot of crazy stuff in New York City. This is why they're starting to make these zones, because people are following ads online and not knowing that it's 80s rules in full effect. You will get robbed. Come here with your whatever you're trying to sell. The sticker price is up, and you think you just got a lick.
Looking for a VR experience.
Yeah, they're gonna take
meet at this address.
They're gonna take your merch and your money, and it's gonna be gone. So, you're never gonna catch me pulling up in front of the precinct and doing any kind of hand to hand. But shout out to whoever wants to do that.
I saw this space and I didn't know where to put it. I didn't know if it was bad. I didn't know if it was ugly. I'll let the people decide. Now, sliding into some more news. Now, I know that you often speak about this brother off the pod, but we're going to bring him onto the pod today.
Who's this?
We're going to talk about that good brother, Kirby Gene Raymond.
Salute to that brother, Kirby Gene Raymond.
Salute to him and to Pierre Moss. And I just wanted to briefly talk about the loot out.
Okay.
I don't think we've covered it on the pod yet. Now, Brother Tone, when I talk about the Pierre Moss loot out, what comes to mind for you?
I have not seen any full coverage from it, but I do know that it's a hell of a swing at a marketing campaign. He's getting some expensive PR's worth of coverage from something that could either go really good or really bad. I don't know how the exchange is happening, but if you see a bunch of people running out of a store acting like they're looting it, I don't know if that's always going to end well. That's my story of caution there.
Well, what if I to tell you that not only was the New York one already done, assembled, there's now going to be a loot out in Hotlanta in LA.
Yeah, anytime you put a loot out in a space where you can openly carry a gun, this is going to be a place that I think is a questionable situation.
It's a great point.
I don't know everything, but certain states let you do stuff that you can't do in other states.
You need to learn the rules where you at, because they change and you get got real quick.
Refer to the exchange zone policy. It's like you need to have some eyes on the prize.
I ain't even gonna add nothing to that. I'm gonna just let that live where it needs to live. Let the people decide. The last part that I'm gonna double down on this week again is talking about the graffiti in LA. So bringing it back, I talked about it week prior, and it really brought attention to the issues of companies coming in, buying real estate, and it being vacant. It brought me to this idea of, again, the graffiti being something that can be looked at as destroying property. It could be looked at as art. It could be looked at as a risky maneuver just to be seen. It could be looked at as territorial. There's so many different layers to the situation. And I've seen people call out to be like, we need to stop this. I saw a SWAT team down there in these areas where I got homies that used to work at, right? I worked in a mural painting space. There's murals that they used to paint within that same vicinity of where this graffiti is that now has become somewhat of a war zone, so to speak. And it's interesting to me to see how provocative art can still be, depending on where it is, how it's displayed. Something as uniform as this that requires so many people to contribute, man, I can't express how heartwarming it is to see.
Yeah, I do have a mixture of feelings and emotions around it. So for one, growing up around graffiti and being somebody who loves street art and seeing that, I understand enough of the context to make me have an affinity for it. And at the same time, if I actually had a building or a skyscraper that was kind of covered that I owned in graffiti, I don't know how I would feel about that.
You'd be pissed
out the gate, right? So being in a position where I can understand where the owner might not necessarily embrace it or they don't feel a way about it, I could see how people get their hair split on this one. But more provocatively, I think it would be cool to embrace it all the way, especially if it's a building that specific building downtown, to my knowledge, has been abandoned because they ran out of money to build that project. So if the city bought it back and turned it into an art center, what would that look like? Because clearly there's something that's being the thing that's being protested and the clamoring of what people are asking for is services for all of these unhoused people that's down there, right? So is there any way to bring together the ambition of the graffiti crew? And I know not everybody that was down there was talking about the unhoused people and everybody else. They just was like, hey, this could be a cool thing. Somebody might have started something that other people just kind of adopted, right? Eventually, if you can get everybody on the same page or actually have everybody on the same line talking about what it is that you want to do with this structure, I think you can get to a place where people will start to have a little bit more measured understanding. You don't need a SWAT team to take down somebody with a spray can. That's insane. It's like, what's the worst thing that they're going to do to a building, again, that has been abandoned for all intents and purposes?
I don't want people to understand how paint is definitely a chemical.
You should not be on the opposite end of a full assault rifle if you just are painting a building.
And I agree. I'm going to stop you right there, only to just add, I'll bring this up again. This is the ugly part of it. Fam, I worked at a mural painting place for over a year and a half. I can't say the name and all the things because of legal obligations, but I say that to say that a bulk of my job was graffiti removal from the murals that we had. I've had to remove paint from glass, spray paint specifically. Do you know how hard it is to remove paint from glass? I had to get a razor, and you get one of them knives to put it in, like the holder, and literally scrape it off. And then you got to use the chemical to spray it. I'm inhaling this chemical that has to break down the paint that makes it loose enough for me to scrape. It is not an easy task.
Yeah.
And that is what the ugly is for me this week.
And it's a cost to that, how many hours
do you know how many
that? Yeah.
That time that I spent doing that wasn't cheap. So I can only imagine an entire building, not to mention how tall it is, right? I've also had to rig buildings as high as 50 floors before, so I know what that's like in real life.
It's a lot of energy, a lot of effort, man. Hopefully somebody gets something good out of that.
Sliding out of that, Brother Tone, we're going to get into our Raising the Bar segment this week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners from all type, from near and far, you're now in store to raise your bar. Brother Tone.
Yes, sir.
Man, I'm coming into the Raising the Bar segment this week with a lot of info coming in hot, but stick with me. We're going to go on a little journey here. You know how back in the day I used to start with the bar low, then we raise it up a little bit. We're going to follow that format today. So, first thing on the top of the list is talking about, I'm actually looking forward to this new beginning and welcoming of this new beginning, brother. Because I feel like earlier this week I had a conversation with the homie Kenny, man. Shout out to him. I was getting it in the gym with him. And he was talking to me about how I was blocking my blessings, Tone. He was like, yo, you sound real closed off to opportunity, my boy. What's up? And I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about how that was happening. And it's very much the advice you get from the cool aunt, right? It don't come from the parent. It's like, yo, your aunt could say something that hit 10 times harder than what your mother been telling you for the past 5-10 years, but it just hits you in a different way. And it allows you to revisit past levels, right? We often talk about the journey, and we talk about life being, somewhat of a game, right? Like, and what it looks like when you start to play that game, right? Or what it looks like when you find the gamification in your situation specifically. And it got me to thinking, like, man, when you go back to any of those old school games, James Bond, Super Mario, whatever the case may be, you got 3 lives, bro. You get 3 tries, and then you going right back to the beginning, right? And it was just like, damn, I'm thinking about the different chances that I've taken, the different challenges I've had to step up, and the risk that I've had to take to get to this point. And I'm like, damn, that's 3 strikes. I'm right back to the beginning again. And that's the sequence of events, right? That's the chain of command. That is until you reach the boss, Tone. Now, the boss is in a lot of different places, could be understood in many different ways, but I'm having a quick high tangent for a little bit, we going
shout out to you stealing that.
Shout out to the high tangent moment, and that's for the listeners that know, and if you don't know, we ain't going to expand on it. But back in the day, I used to think about the boss, right? And I would pontificate, if you will, on what that meant to me. And I felt like it was always a negative term, like a diet. It had a lot of associations with it. Like the boss as a child was depicted as like, yo, the fat dude that smokes cigars and tell everybody what to do. Or it was always just someone that was in a negative light. We've never looked at the boss in positive lights, so to speak. And in my big age that I am present day, I'm looking at the boss like, yo, this person is only big because they have employees. They have other people that are working for them. You can't be a boss without a staff, right? You need to have a team that you can communicate to, and they can oversee the assets and keep the business moving forward. And I was like, damn, that's a hell of a recognition, because most people never get to that boss level, Tone. They are in that employee level, right? And then at the employee level, as an employee, you have rules and regulations that you have to follow in order to succeed. Once you do that, you then can eventually build that path to what a boss level could look like. But sometimes we just not there, right? Like sometimes you need more of an infrastructure. You can't just pick up and leave without a foundation in place, or you can't build a house without a foundation in place, right? In order to build what business looks like, there needs to be different steps up the ladder, right? If we're going back to that video game, you going to different levels, and each level will get a little bit harder. You get a couple more things thrown at you. That gamification again of life is what keeps you going inevitably. Now, Brother Tone, I'm coming in hot because you done built not one, not two, but more than a few businesses, right? Now, I want to ask you about the difference between the boss and employee level and the gems that you've picked up along the way on both sides.
Well, I definitely can tell you that one of the best things that I learned about being on the employee side of that conversation is really having appreciation, even for the spaces that you do not think are valuing you the right way. And I say appreciation because there's lessons in even the most inopportune working situations that you can get yourself into.
100%.
I don't know if it's an assumed easy transition for you to go from employee to boss for anybody. I don't think that you could just get out of an employee position even if you had all the money in the world.
I would say vice versa too. It's hard to go from a boss to an employee position.
Yeah, so, but just to stick with the employee, I think most people are employees. So I just want to make sure that I really punctuate like that transition for you to get into the position where you're actually in the director seat, so to speak. It's not something that you just come there with all the knowledge and information that you need. You now have to have skill sets that go along with what I want to replace boss with leader, because for everything that you laid out, the connotations of boss has, somebody could have that title but not be a leader. If you're talking about today, what I would require in leadership roles, you have to be able to communicate. I don't care how much you know about the topic, you could be the best person at that. If you can't effectively communicate what it is you have in your mind to somebody who might not have any context of what you're doing and get that to transition into a specific action, that's not the easiest task to just walk into innately and just know everything that has to go into that. Much like it's not the easiest thing to know how to balance profits and losses coming into a situation where you never had to worry about that as an employee. So the assumed risk that you have to take on to be in a position of leadership are vastly different from what you have to experience on the employee side. In the position as a boss, I think I've learned my best lessons from some of my worst bosses. Because in all of those situations, I've learned exactly what not to do. I can understand how to be a better leader from watching faulty leaders. I can say, you know what, if it, just like at the beginning of the show, how we opened this up, this place would be so much easier if I had X, Y, and Z. Okay, so when I take that note and I feel that frustration, what's it look like when I just replace this thing that's a huge gap in my mind? Why is this not working? Why is everybody frustrated? Why does everybody feel like they have pressure underneath here? Oh, it's time management. If you don't manage time correctly, nobody in the organization is going to manage time correctly. If you don't have a clear vision on what success looks like, nobody in the organization is going to have a clear indication of what success looks like, right? So anytime you have to be in a leadership position, I said this before, I'll say it again, you have to be in a position of service. Kyle, I am serving way more people today than I ever have had to serve before. And I feel like now I am just at the beginning. This is the preface of what real leadership in my life has started to be. I was not ready for it at an earlier time when I thought I knew everything. I was not ready for it at an earlier time when I had the ability to take crazier risks than I can today. Everything has to be weighed, measured, and accounted for in a different way if you're really going to be a leader, because at the end of the day, the buck stops here. You have to be willing, able, and understanding to take the load that nobody else is going to take. If you're truly at the core of your own business, you are the only person that knows what sacrifice had to go there, and you are the only person that knows if this does not work, it's going to come down to you. So if you want to get all the glory, give it to your team. Give it to the people that's around you, that's helping you uplift whatever this unsurmountable thing is. And hopefully you can take that and share it with as many people as you can.
I think that was wonderfully put. And it was something that I was thinking about this week, and it was heavy on the mental. So I'm happy we could share that moment with the folks.
I appreciate that. I want to go back to the first part of your story where you were talking about getting information from another party that is a lesson that you could have heard it from the cool aunt, or difference between hearing it from the cool aunt and hearing it from your mom. I think in life, you keep hearing the same messages that you need to adhere to until you actually adhere to them. Some of the hardest lessons that I've ever had to come across are the lessons that I knew 5, 10, 15 years ago and never got a chance to actually put them into direct application. It's only when the cliches turn into reality that lesson stops repeating itself in your life. So I don't know what homie hit you with, whatever heartstring that pulled on. My question is, like, what's the next step to make that action start to happen? Because if you keep learning the same lesson, that's an indication of, hey, here's your biggest opportunity, my brother.
No, I'm with you. I received that 100%. And I do think, yes, the lesson does repeat, but the information is in what we've talked about before, and the difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
Knowledge is abundance. You can have it everywhere. You can get whatever you need to know from your phone, from Google, from YouTube. To actually apply that, whatever this DIY is, this do-it-yourself, you got to do it yourself. That application is the wisdom, and that's really what it comes down to. Is you can get all the information, but until you're wise enough to utilize it, you're stuck in that same place. You're treadmilling. You're going nowhere fast. And that leads me to that gym that I heard Denzel on. You know how you get them little skits that take place on IG, like somebody will post something and Denzel was like, you can't confuse progress with movement. It's like, yo, you can be on the treadmill and you going nowhere fast. Hey, you moving, but you're not progressing, right? And
absolutely.
the progress is, I took a small step, but this small step is a step up to where I was previously. So that's a little gem for the folks there. Let's go into relaxing responsibly. Brother Tone, you want to let the good listeners know how you relax responsibly this week?
Man, I thought I was starting off with a hell of a relaxation segment, Kyle.
Okay.
Again, in previous episodes, we talked about, shout out to the crew out there, the whole squad that pulls up on Thursday nights.
Okay.
For what I have to say, that I conveniently adopted the term bike church, Kyle.
Okay.
Thursday night social. Everybody gets together. You got all types of people from all over the world.
Community.
Coming together.
Come one, come all.
So much so, in fact, Kyle, that you could tell who's going to Social Cycle by just the look of what they got on.
Because y'all all meet up at one spot.
We all meet up at Columbus
and you
Circle.
see some folks on the way there.
So on my way there, I'm riding, and I see a brother at the light. We both make eye contact. Just give me the head nod, and we both do some ignorant shit as we start moving through this traffic.
Through traffic. That was me today.
And then we both look at each other. He's like, yo, you going to social? I was like, yeah. He's like, I knew it. He's like, I seen how you was moving in the traffic. See what's going on. Before the crowd comes there, we're there like a good half hour early. So I just start rapping with this brother. Shout out to the brother Carlos out there. And we just start talking about everything in life.
Yeah.
From his job to the kid situation to what's going on personally, everything. I'm talking about real communal, like, connection with somebody that I never met before, and then start seeing a whole crew of fixed gear riders come together.
100%.
And I'm hearing stories that probably would scare most people inside of these communities.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand what's going on. If people are spending this much time in New York City streets, the amount of stuff that we see on a day-to-day is fascinating.
Yes.
But it's also grounding. It's also something that pulls people together. And you get some people who are in all different types of mental statuses coming together and doing the same activity, right? So I'm hyper appreciative of my ability to navigate all of these conversations and still bring people together on a unified sentiment, right? There were some brothers out there that might have been involved in some shaky stuff.
Okay.
We still connected and we had a really good time. And he was like, you know what, man, I appreciate it. I salute you. I see where we're going. You know, I could tell you get it. I could tell you understand it. And it was like, as soon as we was like, yeah, you know, we know how to keep our eyes open. We know how to be in the streets. We can stay away from the danger, but, you know, I ain't a stranger to the danger. And it was the sentiment that we left off on, right?
Understood.
we get into the camaraderie, feeling the freedom of the ride, Kyle, and everybody's having such a great time. And then shots rang out during my relaxation.
We gonna party and bullshit.
It literally was like that. So not to laugh at the situation, but this was where I was going to relax after a stressful week.
You gotta laugh to hide the pain, fam.
And it wasn't the crew that was riding around, but we ended up directly riding through Midtown in an active shooting scenario, which was insane. It literally was like Grand Theft Auto, and I have to tell you, by the time we completed the ride, I still felt like I got my relaxation moment.
You almost had that come to Jesus moment.
But the unified focus to get through that. You talking about hundreds of people moving at the same time at a clip of speed that you would not understand.
Yeah.
People are picking up shell cases off the ground and hundreds of bikers just push right past you. They're like, wait, what just happened? Cops are closing down. Helicopters are chasing people all over the place. It's insanity. But we all end up in Queens. We get to see the waterfront view. I'm kicking back at a waterside that I have many of a reflection on, many a soul-searching moment with my good brother over here. So you understand what I say when I mean I felt like that bridge over troubled water situation came right back to me, man. I was like, all right, let me lay down all of these issues right at this waterside. Yeah, I just got through a crazy situation in Midtown.
Active shooting.
Yeah, I had a week that even pales that into comparison, but we all here right now. We getting it together, man. And the last part, I got to say, being humbled on that bike ride was a very relaxing moment, because I got to shout out to good brother Mark out there. Mark with the locks, he always come through with a crazy bike.
Always.
The subtle flex that he does. You headed back to the sty? I bet, let's ride. It's like, fam, I know comfortably, and salute Mark. When he said that we was riding back, he knew that I wasn't going to keep up with that, man. In his heart of hearts, he knew that we wasn't going on the same ride.
I want to punctuate this by saying this dude that you're speaking of is the same dude that told me he did 72 miles per hour
on a bike
on the Brooklyn Bridge,
and is completely accurate in that sentiment. Right? He
72, fam.
The fact that he rides around on trophies, and an actual trophy, like
100%.
The bikes that he has are bikes that you cannot buy.
No, because he built them.
He built them, and they're usually attached to you winning a race to go out and buy those bikes. To get that bike, you have to earn that bike. So the subtle flex of all of that, and then to come out there with something that it looks like it's moving fast when it's standing still. He's like, yo, you want to ride back? All right, cool, let's hit the bridge. When I tell you, he left me so far in his dust. I was like, I don't even know why we had that exchange, but I appreciate that we did. And that was a humbling and relaxing moment. Felt like it was like my version of Snuck Out to Maddie's, but it was on bikes.
Yeah, that's wild. Shout out to Mark, man. He always out here riding crazy. But love.
How did you relax this week, my man?
It's funny you asked, Tone. I was actually in the gym this week, my guy, and shout out to the homie Kenny, Philly homie, man. He was like, he put out that bat signal. It was like, yo, I'm looking for a workout partner, and anybody available, yada, 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 bet. So I reached out to him, followed up with him, and there's something to be said about just working out with a homie of yours, right? Like, we talk about that sentiment a lot, and it really does push you a little bit harder when you have somebody there to spot you or even kind of motivate you. And a real key to working out and getting better is there needs to be that line, right? There's the thin line between somebody that might be a little bit more stronger than I am, or more fit than I am, because then it gives you something to aspire to, right? And you can bounce off of that person. Like, yo, you might get me in the dumbbells, but when we got to the squat, you can't really hang, or whatever the case may be, right? It's a bounce off. It's a, steel sharpening steel situation. So I was in the gym, brother, and let me tell you, it is a space to be. First thing is, man, I got recognized in the gym. Somebody was like, yo, you the dude at the podcast. I was like,
salute.
Yeah. Yo, he was like, yo, keep doing your thing, homie, in love. I was like, that's love, man. I appreciate that.
The faithful listeners is out there.
And it's reassurance to know that, like, these words aren't falling on deaf ears. Like, it's people that see us. It's people that hear us. It's people that are moving the way that we moving. Homie was in shape. He was fit. He had locks. I was like, yo, you are
He's a part of the tribe.
You're my core demographic, actually. Like, we here. You organic thugs.
See, when I pointed that out the other day, you got mad at me for saying that.
Because I don't want people to be out here that look like me, like in that way. You know, like a twin. You know, I don't need a twin. You know, I need like-minded individuals.
We doing Jones clones out here. They coming up.
They cloned Tyrone and Jones. Apparently, his name was actually Tyrone Jones. That's what they didn't tell you, man. Aside from that, brother, this was also my first experience seeing what we call the BBL booty. I'm gonna just put it out there, bro. When one of those walk in the gym, all traffic stops. Like it is, man. It's the hammer. You know what I'm saying?
It is, but then it don't never do like anything athletic.
Oh, 100%. Never.
That's the disappointing.
It's all show, no go.
That's the disconnect.
You know what I mean? If you're picking up what I'm putting down, like it looked nice, but it ain't functional.
It don't do. It's like not a squat.
It was heavy.
Not a lunge.
But it wasn't doing nothing I ain't seen before. Like little booties matter, and I saw them mattering, but when that came through, fam, it just stopped everybody. Everybody eyes locked in. It was like, yo, that's wild.
The most you can get out of that is the Stairmaster.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Stairmaster with a little extra kickback. That's as most you're gonna get out of it.
Baby girl, when you're on that Stairmaster, yo, take your hands off the rails, girl. Just go strong. You know what I mean? Build them quads up.
She doesn't have quads. She just cut all that stuff off.
That's why I'm telling her to build them quads up.
It's not going to be there.
You got to balance that out. Like,
when you do elective surgery, none of that stuff's going to be functioning, Kyle. That's why I keep trying to tell you.
Build that muscle. I'm talking get into your single leg squats. You know what I'm talking about? Get into your split squats. All of that. You need to build them quads.
You're going to have to do all the BBL rehab after you get these girls blowing out their knees, ankles, after you telling them to do a single leg squat with a body
BBL?
that is completely not their body no more.
I'm just trying to help you out, you know?
I'm going to let you take that one, my boy.
Aside from that, it did feel good to just be back in the space. They had the e-gym equipment, which is a completely different side of working out that's different from just free weights and cables. It's science that is actually in the gym now. They had the Hyperize section on the side. So now you've got active recovery equipment. Like the gym landscape has changed and the bar has been leveled even on lower scale gyms. Like that's stuff that existed in the place that we used to work at. That was luxury, but to see it on a lower scale, it really did make me feel better.
It makes me feel happy seeing that, but it also makes me feel eternally frustrated.
100%.
Because the company that you just named, eGym, Kyle, I was the third employee for that company.
Oh, I know.
The third.
You want to stretch out a little bit? You going to take us down memory lane?
The third employee, Kyle.
I saw a photograph. Kind of made me laugh.
And I've interned for Hyperice so many times that I've lost count for how many different events I've represented those companies for. And one of the things that I have to just point out to just as we're wrapping up the show, the place that I said that this company would work best versus the place that they wanted to make me put this equipment in, I put this out there as just here's my full circle moment of understanding the landscape, knowing where it needs to go, but then knowing why I need to slow it down. When I got hired as the third employee for eGym, I was tasked with introducing this brand new piece of machinery from Germany into the U.S. market. The first gym that they wanted to put that in was Equinox. I said, you're going to have a very hard time with doing that. Why? Because I just finished working for almost 9 years at this place, and I could tell you that the head of this company does not want strength training equipment there. He is a free motion person. I know that. Because I wasn't the lowest person in the gym, I was up in the rankings of what all the information was about, coming out and it was being disseminated. You know where I told them it would work? I told them it would work in the YMCA. I told them it would work in introductory level gyms where people have lower levels of information, but you could ramp up there. It could help you teach. You know what they said? Shut up, Tony. We don't want none of that stuff.
Bad. You get your black ass out of here.
Fast forward to what are the two places that they have sold the most pieces of that equipment to in the States?
YMCA.
You know who also works for the YMCA,
it's trying
Kyle?
to take it to the...
You know who else worked for laying out gyms inside the YMCA? Who made the introduction to the YMCA with that company?
I'm going to go Anthony Vidal for 100.
And this is why I'm frustrated. Because I know what I know. It's just not in the same time that people need to be paying attention to it, man. So all of that to say, I'm happy that the gym is getting up to the speed to where I was legitimately 7 years ago. Legitimately 7. And I'm hopeful that one day when we look back, this is going to be realized and be like, yo, this dude was on some shit and we are sorry that we missed out on this train for as long as we have, man. That's really what the frustration be about, Kyle. So I wasn't wrong. The missus was in the right direction.
Your hope sounds aggressive, brother.
It is.
So I'm gonna send you blessings on that, and I just want to revisit when I said there's times when you got to revisit past levels, right? That's the way the game is set up. Yes, I've beat this level 100 times. Yes, this is a precursor to get to that boss level. But
No, I never beat the level. I failed every time at that level. This is what I'm saying.
But you got the knowledge to keep playing the game. Which brings me into my hope this week, Tone, of abundance, right? I feel like, brother, I've been moving from scarcity, and I was stuck on scarcity. I ain't even know it. I was like, yo, what's going on around? I looked around and almost had a moment of like, damn, I'm on E. I got nothing. And we talked about refilling your cup. We talked about having a gratitude journal and taking those steps to account for where you are. And it made me realize, yo, I gotta flip that switch. I gotta open that abundance lens again and revisit what that actually looks like in community, in work, in monetary value, in emotional value, in love, right? You gotta be able to receive that. And when I was teaching class today, everybody ended in the community with a hug. And it was like, yo, you know what? You should have a goal to hug 4 times a day. 4 hugs a day will keep your emotional, mental, and spiritual body connected, so to speak. And it was like, damn, I had 4 people in my class today. I gave out 4 hugs, bro. I'm set. But are you up to 4 hugs today, Tone, is the
Definitely
real
not.
question.
I'm probably not going to get up to 4. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, then you got a task to do. You better find 4 strangers on your way home.
I got 2. Do dap hugs count? Because if I got dap hugs,
that counts.
All right, I'm
That's
up to,
the thing.
If they're 0.5s, every dap hug is a 0.5?
It's still a hug. It just ain't like it's a longer way to get there.
There we go.
I mean?
Okay. I was like,
I would count that as a hug. You know?
All right, if they count, then I'm past the quota. I've made it.
It's nothing nicer than a regular, just warm embrace as well.
I totally appreciate that, man.
So that's what I'm leaving my hopeful on this week, is welcoming abundance and also hugging 4 times a day to keep my mind, body, and spirit straight.
I love that, man. I'm going to leave it short and sweet. I'm just hoping for a better tomorrow, Brother Jones. That's really what I want. Everybody out there going through a little bit of a tougher situation to know that there's hope on the horizon for tomorrow, man. You know, and of course, we brought you this episode live and direct on the Block of the Rock with the good folks over at Newsstand Studios. We got the good brother Hassan Insane himself on the mic, helping us out, EQing the situation live. You know, we tried to cut him a check for tonight, my man. You know, we was trying to get that drop in there.
Because it's going to be some moving.
By the time you hear this, Hassan will be responsible for at least 10 children being born 9 months from now.
By the time you hear this. The funk shall be within you.
It will be within them. So I just want to let you know, the next time Hassan is on the 1s and 2s, you need to go in there. He gonna get somebody pregnant again. So just putting it out there.
Stop it with the P word now.
He gonna make it happen. I didn't say that I was gonna be there to get nobody pregnant. I just said Hassan and the lusty vibes that he be spending, man, it's gonna happen like that, you know? And I do also want to shout out the good brother Brian Perkins. We're joined by him producing the show on the Off the Strength podcast in association with I Did That Production.
Okay.
Salute that brother out there in remote land. Salute to everybody that's here in the Newsstand Studio fam. Again, we're gonna make it to the top of the rock one day, Brother Jones. You got anything else you want to bless the people with?
No, man, you done blessed the people with everything that they need to know, but I might slide in just one last little shout out to your boy.
Okay.
And that is KR Jones, sole proprietor of Under Construction NYC, where we got merch. We got yoga. We got all the things that you need mobility-wise, strength training-wise. And I got this vest on, Tone.
Okay.
And I'm feeling like this vest still needs to come out. We still need some community engagement, if you will.
Say it with your vest, Kyle.
To really bring the organic thug to the streets, man. And I'm really looking forward to building that out. So that's all I'm going to end with.
All right. Once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strength from a trainer called Tony.
KR Jones.
Peace and much love to y'all out there. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Peace.
What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off the Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice, and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.